John Bolton is no longer working for the Trump administration. Now, Trump himself attempted to make it appear as though he fired Bolton, but of course, as with anything Trump says, it's a lie. Now, let me give you the details of what Trump tweeted, and then we're gonna give you the reality of how this all went down. Trump said today via Twitter, I informed John Bolton last night that his services are no longer needed at the White House. I disagreed strongly with many of his suggestions, as did others in the administration, and therefore, I asked John for his resignation, which was given to me this morning. I thank John very much for his service. I will be naming a new national security advisor next week. Well, that's not quite how things went down. In fact, we found out about the reality on Fox News of all places. Take a look.
Then, of course, we heard from the just fired John Bolton saying that no, it didn't actually play out that way.
Well, I offered to resign last night, and President Trump said, let's talk about it tomorrow.
John Bolton just texted me just now. He's watching.
Can you read it?
He said, let's be clear, I resigned. And I said, do you mind if I say that while you were talking? And he wrote, yes. So John Bolton has just told me, texted me to say, I resigned.
And right prior to that, John Bolton also tweeted, quote, I offered to resign last night, and President Trump said, let's talk about it tomorrow.
No, I broke up with you.
Yeah. It's insane.
You can't fire me, I quit, except the opposite.
Yeah, I do like I picture them talking and it going really poorly, and Trump says, let's talk about it tomorrow. And he's like, okay, maybe we can save this relationship. And then of course,
it's just like,
he's been cheating on him with Mike Pompeo.
It's the pettiest. Trump is many bad things. He's all the bad things. But petty is what he's the most, I think.
Well, for a guy who seems to care a lot about optics and his own image, he's managed to, be the worst president in US history. I mean, everyone is always criticizing him with the exception of power-hungry members of his own administration and right-wing media.
Well, optics for him is not the traditional way that we think, how someone's supposed to appear presidential. He wants to consistently appear strong, but he's too dumb to actually appear strong, so he just appears petulant and petty. Yeah. So he's not bright enough to pull off the PR stunt that he's trying to consistently do, which is that of a competent president, a strong president, and he doesn't know how to actually maneuver it because he's not that bright.
Yeah.
Right. Now Bolton no longer working in the Trump administration is not a bad thing.
Bolton it's a great
thing. He is a notable war hawk. He is a warmonger. It was very clear that there were disagreements between himself and Donald Trump when it came to possibly invading Iran, and I'm glad that Trump called off an airstrike in response to Iran shooting down a US drone. I mean, in any potential conflict the United States has, Bolton has attempted to push both Donald Trump and successfully previous administrations into more war. So I'm glad that Bolton's out. But that's not to say that he wouldn't be replaced by someone who's even worse. You never know who Trump could replace him with.
It should be obvious, but let's bear in mind who put John Bolton in the position he was in. Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I would assume, knowing all you need to know about John Bolton's reputation, which is just that he's never met a group of non-white people that he wants to blow up, and yet he chose him. And so you don't get points, you just get back up to zero from the negative you went into when you chose John Bolton as your advisor.
And the reason why he chose John Bolton is because they agreed on tearing up the Iran nuclear deal. But they disagreed on what to do moving forward because Trump surprisingly wanted to take a more diplomatic role in negotiating with Iran, whereas Bolton just wanted to invade.
Yeah, because no one who isn't this much of a warmonger wants to invade Iran. It's 4 times the size of Iraq. We already know how much of a disaster that was. And apparently when you read more into it, people like Steve Mnuchin were massaging Trump's ego, basically saying that, you didn't want to go to the Iraq war, but Bolton did, so he's been wrong on this. Why would you trust him? And Mnuchin didn't really like that he was pushing for the tariffs and all of that. So it wasn't his anti-interventionist tendencies that caused him to fire Bolton, which is that's what we'd want. It was his ego, per usual.
Yeah, and I remain incredibly worried about what's gonna happen with Iran. Because it's one thing, like as you rightly pointed out, he canceled the airstrike. after okaying the airstrike.
That's right.
And he did rip up the Iran nuclear accords, which materially increases the odds of a war with them, and also of them developing the nuclear weapons that will be used as the pretext for a war with them. So, I mean, look, I guess Trump is less of a hawk than John Bolton, but so is virtually every human that's ever lived. So I don't know how much credit he deserves.
I mean, Lindsey Graham might be either on the same page in terms of hawkishness, but or even more hawkish.
Yeah, McCain was rough too, but yeah.
McCain was rough, but he's not in the equation anymore. So I do want to go to this next video because it features Pompeo, Mike Pompeo, and just pay close attention to his tone. He seems almost jovial, and he does draw attention to some disagreements. Take a look.
Did John Bolton get fired, or did he quit? And did he leave the White House because he disagreed with you in particular over talks with the Taliban?
So last night, the president asked for Ambassador Bolton's resignation. As I understand it, it was received this morning.
Was it because of this disagreement?
I'll leave to the president to talk about the reasons he made the decision. But I would say this: the president's entitled to the staff that he wants. I don't talk about the inner workings of how this all goes. We all give our candid opinions. There were many times Ambassador Bolton and I disagree. That's to be sure. But that's true for lots of people with whom I interact. My mission set is always to make sure, as I run the Department of State, is to deliver America's diplomacy. I know everyone's talked about this for an awfully long time. There were definitely places that Ambassador Bolton and I had different views about how we should proceed.
Well, he has Mnuchin going over his shoulder. Those were the two amigos who basically ousted him, and they're just grinning to each other, like talking behind the scenes. We got the guy out.
It's, I mean, their days are numbered. We all know how Trump operates. We all know that Trump has loyalty to no one. Mike Pompeo might think he's in Trump's good graces today by sucking up to him and giving him everything he wants. But one small, even misconception that Trump has toward Pompeo. Let's say Pompeo might appear to be a little too overly ambitious within the administration. You're gone. It's a very thin line, Pompeo. So you might be snickering and laughing now, but again, your days are numbered. Everyone's days are numbered if you're in the Trump administration. But one conversation I wanted to have was, Pompeo says, I think the president should be able to surround himself with a bunch of yes men who enable him and do everything he wants. And so my question is, look, I think that it makes sense to have members of your cabinet, have a similar philosophy, maybe a similar ideology, worldview, whatever it is. But you want to surround yourself with people who are willing to challenge you, because no human being is perfect. So let's take Trump out of the equation. Let's just put President Perfect in that position. Now, even President Perfect has flaws. No one's actually perfect. I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I like to be challenged on some of my preconceived notions because that helps me grow, that helps me make better decisions. In the executive branch, does it make sense to surround yourself with a bunch of yes men if you actually want to run government correctly?
Well, that was part of the criticism of Bush, right? Was that he surrounded himself consistently with yes men because he was too intellectually incurious to actually ask these large questions. It's the same thing with Trump times a million. He's the most intellectually incurious man on the face of the planet. And when you look more and read more of the details about the firing of Bolton and Pompeo apparently largely agreed about how to handle Iran, how to handle North Korea, but disagreed on how to handle Trump. How to handle him.
Right.
So basically Bolton wanted to push him to be more belligerent, and Pompeo wanted to be more sleazy about it, even though their end goals were still the same. More war, more brown Muslims bombed and killed indiscriminately, more belligerence towards North Korea, more military industrial complex getting enriched, and more donors getting their pockets filled.
Yeah, and in terms of you mentioned deferring on how to handle Trump. I mean, he demonstrated that he knows how he's supposed to handle Trump there. He knows exactly what happened with the resignation versus firing, but he knows if he says that, he'll probably be fired. He can't acknowledge reality because he knows that he's working for a 4-year-old in a really old body. That's it, really. He gets that. You asked, wouldn't you want a team of people who would question you if you wanted to run government properly? Yes, if that's what you wanted to do, but we know that for Trump, I mean, God, is that in the top 20 of his priorities?
Let me just be clear. I mean, you want people who might challenge you on certain policy proposals or executive actions you might want to take. I mean, no one wants to surround themselves with people who constantly question everything they do and challenge everything they do. But in this case, I mean, look at what Trump has successfully done. He immediately gets rid of people who challenge him. He gets rid of people who he deems too ambitious, who might want to outshine him in the administration. Just to give you a little history lesson, and it's very recent history, Trump has had 3 national security advisors: Bolton, Michael Flynn, and H.R. McMaster.
In his defense, one of them was a criminal, so he couldn't hold on to him for very long. Yeah, well, yeah, you know, an easily identifiable criminal.
Yeah, fair enough.
Under our system.
And there's been nothing but chaos within his administration when it comes to other roles. Trump has also churned out 2 Homeland Security secretaries, John Kelly and Kirstjen Nielsen, and a National Security Agency director, Mike Rogers. He's lost a Deputy National Security Advisor, KT McFarland, and an ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, and his deputy, Sue Gordon, left their posts last month. So again, it's complete and utter chaos within this administration, and it just continues on and on. If you don't agree with everything Trump wants, he's gonna come for you.
Yeah, and everybody should have predicted it because we knew from his business career that this is how he was. He just wants yes men, which is again, like, this is something I've been saying for 2 years now, like that the Trump supporters say that Trump is an example of a strong alpha person. He's literally a demonstration on a daily basis of every way that a man can be weak. And your inability to have your views questioned is not strength. Lincoln had his team of rivals, he's got a team of rodents. That's all that's left on the sinking ship. Like, you should be able to surround yourself with people who are smarter in their areas that you are. Doesn't mean that you have to follow what they say, but you should at least listen to their advice. Trump, when he was talking, I think it was about Afghanistan, he said, "I take my own advice." What does that even mean? I don't know. The only thing it means is we have a pathetic president. That's all that it means in practice.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.